you, what are the last three numbers? 195.
Right.
Everything is on that degree, on that dimension. It's on 19.5.
19.5, right.
Exactly. So they're all latitude, longitude numbers, and 19.5 is the number that is your final number. And as far as the Coral Castle is, what nobody can see or tell, but just consider this widely because you'll understand completely. The Coral Castle owner is building a gateway, a portal, and the reason they can't find everything is because a portion of the portal is gone, no different than the stones at Stonehenge, and this castle has to be built in a certain place like the pyramids, because when you put those two angles together, it creates a portal for them to pass through. And it wasn't Agnes, a girl who lives here, but Agnes through the portal back home.
Now, that is an interesting theory. Now, tell me why you've come up with this.
Actually, I listen to your show every night I get a chance, and I've been listening to it and I'm a newbie, for like 2 years.
Okay.
And 19.5, I remember them saying.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is Richard Hoagland talks about that a lot.
Right. It's like I remember the number, and I don't know why, but whenever I heard the beginning of the numbers, and it ended in 19.5, it's another dimension that is a spot. It's a place. Yes, an intersection that everything comes to, like the other mysterious.
Well, I got to tell you, Joe, and Robin, your theory is as good as any we've heard, a portal to somewhere. How about that? We'll be back with final questions on Coast to Coast AM. Hey, Joe, before we take final calls, tell us about your book, Waiting for Agnes, where you can get it. And again, it is fiction based on fact. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, George. You can reach me. I'm going to go ahead and give my telephone number out in case anybody has a pen and paper there. I'm happy to take telephone orders. I'm at area code 386-752-1059, and my email is joebull, JOEBULL, at atlantic.net, and my website is www. It's just the title of the book, waitingforagnes.com. And so you can email me or call me. Again, that telephone number, 386-752-1059. Call me anytime.
And you'll give them a signed copy?
Oh, yes. All my copies are autographed.
All right, very good. Let's go back. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, George, not tooting my own horn here, but because of when you first did that first show, the hardcover sold out, and anybody that's got a copy of the hardcover, hold on to it. In some areas, it's selling for $1,000 a copy.
Are you kidding?
$1,100.86.
You didn't get it.
I don't get it. Believe it or not, they're putting it on eBay. They're stealing it out of the libraries that I donated the books to and putting it on eBay. A fellow just called me the other day, and he paid $485 for the new soft cover that I sell for $19 on eBay because people can't find me. I'm not in the chain stores. I'm not at Coral Castle. I'm the only one you can get it from, and people don't realize it. So they're paying exorbitant amount of money, even for a softcover book.
You've become a collector yourself, basically.
George, I used to give the books away. I think they're in horse stalls. People propped up their doors with them. I'd like to have those books back now if they'd send them to me.
How many did you publish originally?
I only published 1,000 copies. There's only 1,000 copies of the original hardback out there.
All right, let's go to the phones. Wildcard line, welcome to the program. Hi there.
Hi, my name is Eric from New London, Connecticut. I got a quick question on the text which Ed wrote about the magnetic fields and stuff. From what I understand, he actually wrote in their designs to create a perpetual energy storage device using a couple of magnets and some wire. And from what I understand, some of the tests he did, he put the two magnets together using a certain technique and energized them through the wire. and then he'd just leave them sitting around for a while, and he'd be able to discharge it days, months, even years later, and still get enough charge out of this thing that's just been sitting around to light up a light bulb. And this is all based off his writings in the magnetic book, a lot of which he says the only actual theory that matters is the one of electromagnetism, and that it is the only actual force in the universe. There aren't like the gravity or the strong and weak nuclear. There's just the electromagnetic, and everything we see is pretty much just a breakdown of that. So my question is, have you seen anything in your research of Coral Castle or anything like that that would indicate he used some kind of electromagnetism in order to not only move and form the stones, but to do things like cut the shaft for the 9-ton swinging door and essentially everything like that?
George, the only thing I can say on regarding that, I couldn't. There's nothing that would indicate it that you know, if he did it like that, which we think he did, there's nothing in there. He left nothing behind. Only those books on the magnetic current. And I've tried to read that, and I think, reader, you've gotten a lot more out of it than I did. It's very difficult to understand, and I don't have any knowledge as far as him, you know, charging those things and coming back days later. That would be news to me.
Yeah, from what I understand, it was a very technical thing he started working on, which is one of the ways that led him to be able to do things like the castle itself. One of the things I did gather from my reading of that is a lot of the electromagnetism stuff he did could also be used to lift the stones off the ground kind of thing. People will occasionally talk about pulleys, but the amount that he'd need and the height they'd have to be at in order to move the stones himself are pretty much unmanageable. So I just wanted to know if you had seen any kind of devices around there that people may have uncovered or something that leads you to believe something along those lines.
No, I wish I could. I wish I could uncover that, but I think you're absolutely right. I think you're on the right track there. We just haven't found out exactly how he did it. There's theories like we discussed before with the Christopher Dunn idea of him levitating those stones. But that's the only theories that I've seen that, you know, actually might explain how he did that.
And he was listening to us on our brand new affiliate, New London, Connecticut, WXLM FM. Let's go to our first-time caller line. Welcome to the program. Hi there.
Yeah, hi. How you doing today? First-time caller. I love your show, George.
Well, thank you very much.
I've got a two-part question. My first part of the question is, has anybody ever actually weighed any of those stones to back up the weight for what they're saying? Because some of those stones, to me, don't look quite as heavy as what they're saying. Has anybody ever weighed those?
No, there's actually never been a survey where they actually weigh them because, you know, it's just how would you get in there to weigh them? You know, it's all based on, you know, basically theory. In fact, I had, this was given to me from another person. It says the weight of the stones is calculated by figuring out what 1 cubic foot weighed, and then you would multiply the total cubic feet.
Right.
And that's the way pretty much is determined, and then, of course, it's estimated. Nothing is ever actually, you know, you can't put them really on a scale and weigh them.
Are they saying that coral is like heavier than natural stone per cubic foot or lighter?
That I couldn't tell you that. I don't know that.
Okay. Now, do they know where he is actually, like how he quarried and cut those stones, like what location and how he actually cut them and split them?
There is actually one, when they were doing Coral Castle, they actually covered up most of his quarry spots because of the danger of people falling into the pits.
Now, was that in Florida City or was that in Homestead?
In Homestead, right now. When you go down there right now, as you walk into the castle, to the right of the castle, there's one quarry bed, and you can actually see where the stones were taken out of the ground. It's kind of interesting. There's no chisel marks or anything that you can really tell on the stones, but most of the other quarry beds were covered up to keep people from falling in. So there's only one spot there where you can actually walk to the castle, and you can step down into the bed. It's actually about a 3-foot drop where he quarried those original stones.
So nobody really knows how he cut them, the blocks out of the main coral.
They cannot. George and I talked about that last time. We talked about all kinds of ideas. You know, how do you get underneath once you cut it to get the horizontal cut? You know, even if you get a vertical cut, how do you cut the bottom?
Right.
The idea is that he got a big thing and popped them out of there, but how you pop a 30-ton stone is, you know, beyond me.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that is a great question. How do you cut the bottom?
Right.
And then lift these huge blocks of stone up.
And George, if you look at those stones, now the caller earlier that said he was down there said, this coral will cut you. But now I had a different experience down there. When